Ladies and gentlemen, forget about Victor Osimhen. Forget about him. A few days ago, I think it was sometime last week, the news about Gyökeres dropped, that Arsenal look like they're very interested in Gyökeres, and perhaps that's the striker they're going for. It came from David Ornstein. And we came to a conclusion, we came to an acceptance that Victor Osimhen is not someone that we're going to go for. And now another Victor Osimhen, is also seeming to be on his way to Saudi Arabia. So everyone that had all of this belief that, if it's not Gyökeres, we must get Osimhen. This is the kind of a striker that's going to elevate us, that's going to help us compete at the highest level next season. 3 seasons under the new ownership, and we've just been dilly-dally around. We may make it to the Champions League, but even if we make it to the Champions League, are we just there to make up numbers, or are we there to compete? Not just in the Champions League, but in the Premier League next season as well. We've not really competed in the Premier League since this new ownership has taken over, and even prior to the new ownership, we weren't competing, but at least we weren't this poor. Right now, I believe we're about 26 points away from Liverpool, right on top. And I know prior to the ownership taking over, even Roman was struggling. But look, at least during Roman times, we didn't have this policy of youth. So, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, before all of that, welcome back to the other side of the coin. Thank you so much for joining on a regular basis. Smash up the like button if you're here for the first time. Subscribe. Let's check the news. Napoli will sell Victor Osimhen. Osimhen will not stay at Napoli and will not continue at Galatasaray. There are several options in England, also from Saudi. So I think several options, what they mean by is Manchester United, who are linked with Osimhen, and of course, Chelsea. We were going after him, if you guys remember, last summer, but we didn't end up getting him because of the wage demands, this, that, the other. And if you also remember, Osimhen was on the brink of joining Al Hilal or Al Ahli, I believe, one of the Saudi teams. And that didn't happen because they ended up getting Ivan Toney. But now that might be back in the cards because ultimately Osimhen does not want to forgo his wages. There are several options in England. Also from Saudi, Osimhen wants his salary to be guaranteed, and that is going to be a really important point. So now, I don't know whether Man United's going to do this. Man United, they want to deviate away from giving huge wages. They've done that with Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford's no longer with them in Manchester United. He's now with Aston Villa, and pretty sure Marcus Rashford will be sold in the summer. Any sort of big wages kind of player, Jadon Sancho is another one. Man United are taking this approach similar to us. They're going with this youth policy. This seems to be the trend. So, ladies and gentlemen, no Gyökeres, no Osimhen, which really leaves us with the option of Delap or Sesko, like 2 out-and-out contenders for us. Now, Sesko, I'm not sure. Bundesliga experience doesn't seem to translate properly in the Premier League. And it's not completely cheap, I think his release clause is quite expensive, although his wages will be a lot cheaper, I suppose. His age obviously fits the project. But I think the prime candidate is Liam Delap. And as I said, he's a talented player. But Liam Delap, next season, ain't going to be able to help us compete at the highest level. Because I'm not here for top 4 again. We're doing the top 4 thing right now. We need to get back into serious conversations. We're not being taken seriously. And Nicholas Jackson, ladies and gentlemen, as much as I like him, and I do, I think we've come to a realization that those flaws that he has up front tells you that he's not really an out-and-out striker, Do you know what? I think someone like Nicholas Jackson will actually find a lot of benefit in having another striker with him. I don't even mind playing a 2-striker policy with Nicholas Jackson and maybe, a targetsman up front. I think that could actually get the best out of Nicholas Jackson. Have the two strikers, play Cole Palmer out wide with overlapping fullbacks so he can come in central positions. I don't know whether Maresca's open to changing his game plan. We've seen Cole Palmer play out wide as well and then eventually get into central positions. Obviously, this season we've predominantly seen him operate through the middle, but he's got a free role. Cole Palmer pretty much plays anywhere and everywhere. If you watch the game and if you see his heat map, he's pretty much floating everywhere and anywhere. So I'm sure Maresca can find a solution. And I think Nicholas Jackson, in tandem with another striker, could be very, very useful. There are some distinct qualities about Nicholas Jackson that really, really is fantastic. And it's something that Enzo Maresca truly wants in the team. We've seen it as he's come back against Spurs. We press better. He seems to link up the play better. But we've also seen the flaws that we've always seen with Nicholas Jackson last season and this season as well. Whether that changes or not, I don't think so. I don't know. I'm not sure. My heart's saying that probably won't change. He's not an out-and-out striker. So this is why I wanted a Gyökeres or an Osimhen. And now it seems like we're not going to get that, ladies and gentlemen. Justin, David Ornstein as well. So that was Fabrizio Romano. This is David Ornstein, ladies and gentlemen, on Victor Osimhen. There seems to be a consensus among Premier League clubs that Victor Osimhen's most likely destination is Saudi Arabia. There you go. I think the wage factor is the issue. He was on good wages at Napoli. Don't forget, he's still a Napoli player. He's on loan at Galatasaray, and he's not going to stay at Galatasaray. He's obviously enjoyed a really good season at Galatasaray this season. He's going to return back to Napoli, and Napoli won't keep him. He doesn't want to stick around at Napoli. I don't think he gets along with Antonio Conte. And I think the release clause is quite expensive, if I'm being honest. I think it's in the region of 70 million euros. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section. So high wages, high transfer fee. It's not something that the Premier League clubs will entertain. It really isn't. And his age doesn't fit our project either, unfortunately. I wish we went out and did something like this. Me personally, I'd get Osimhen straight away. I think Gyökeres fits Maresca's style a lot more, but it doesn't look like we're going to go with Gyökeres. We're going to get every other player from Sporting, but we're not going to get Gyökeres. I would love to get Osimhen. I think he would be sensational in the Premier League from a physical standpoint, from that pace, power. He works his backside off, man, off the ball. Osimhen. He works like a dog. His finishing is impeccable. A striker like him up front, in tandem with Nicholas Jackson, would have been wonderful for us. But we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. It's just too much money to outlay. But we're happy to do that with kids. That's what bothers me, and that's what the issue is with this business model that we have at Chelsea Football Club under this new ownership. Osimhen is looking most likely to move to Saudi Arabia, having come close to joining Al Ahly before the Jeddah-based side eventually added Ivan Toney instead. Several Saudi clubs have expressed an interest in Osimhen, including Al Qadsiya. So look, ladies and I believe this is coming from Ben Jacobs, and I get it. I'm not a massive believer of Ben Jacobs when it comes to transfer news, but he's pretty much singing the same tune just as Fabrizio Romano. These are all latest news, by the way. These dropped over the last 12 hours, to be honest, and also from David Ornstein. So Ben Jacobs is right. Last summer, Saudi clubs were after him, and this makes sense from a financial standpoint for both Osimhen and for Napoli. Napoli is going to get the bag for Osimhen from Saudi teams. No other teams are going to pay that level of money, 70 million odd transfer fees. I think that's the release clause. And no other team is going to pay the kind of wages Osimhen wants. There's some rumors that was going around that Osimhen was offered about 1 million a week contract. That's 52 million in a year, which will change Osimhen's life and set not just himself up, but his entire family and generations to come. And Osimhen, he's probably thinking, look, I won the Serie A, I've experienced Champions League. Sure, I didn't win anything in the Champions League, but it's not like he's not won stuff in his footballing career. He's won the Serie A. He's going to win the Turkish league. Fantastic. Yeah, it's time to make money. It's time to make money. At the end of the day, these footballers, their career is not that long. They got to make as much as money as possible, set themselves up and their families up for the rest of their lives. So, look, time to forget about Osimhen. Time to forget about Gyökeres. Whether Liam Delap happens or not, I'm not really sure, That's the target. I feel like that is the realistic target. Sesko, I don't know, man. I'm not really sure whether Sesko would fit nicely in the Premier League or not. I think he's a talented footballer, but I don't know whether he's going to fit nicely. Delap, another young player. Is that what we need? But that's probably what we're going to go after. There's a release clause for Delap once Ipswich gets relegated, which could happen this week. And then there are other suitors for Delap. There are other suitors. So it's not a easy path towards Liam Delap. So let's see, ladies and gentlemen, what happens. Let me know your thoughts. Some of you guys thought maybe Victor Osimhen. It's not going to happen. It's simply not going to happen. Smash up the like button if you're here for the first time. Subscribe, hit the bell notification to stay in touch with all my content. Until next time, take care. See ya. Bye.